Hey, I'm Colonel Garuda, and today we're taking a look at the Soul of Chogokin GX-59R Daltanious. Now, this is the renewal version of a previously existing figure simply called the GX-59 Daltanious, and this version is retooled and repainted to kind of look like the vintage toy, and the packaging was done that way too, because this is how the original toy packaging kind of looked. And what's also interesting is that I have a Sentai figure that was inspired by this mecha design, the Chogokin Live Robo. Now, he's missing some parts, and I'm not going to review him anytime soon until I complete him. But as you can see by this picture and this mecha here, that they're very similar in design. And honestly, I think Daltanious has a much cooler design than this guy, but I do have respect for this mecha. But putting him off to the side, taking a look at the packaging, as I said before, I got this awesome, beautiful, retro-style packaging on the front. You just got Smash Nations and Bandai there. You just put it up to the top here. You just, some stuff I can't read, and a picture of the figure. On the side, it just shows you the components of the set. The other side, you pretty much got the same thing. Here's how it looks at the bottom. And at the bottom here, we got all of your obligatory product shots. It does this, that, the other. And it's just so overwhelming of how many accessories and gimmicks that this set has in total. But that's typical for Soul of Chogokin figures. But man, this is just so impressive. Including this little display with all the accessories reminiscent of my Soul of Chogokin die rugger. And on the bottom, you just got your warnings and labels, and that's about it. And upon opening everything out of the box, here's what you get. You got that giant tray with all the crazy accessories. You get this instruction booklet with a colorful cover. And then the best part, you get this giant retro style packaging with all these things and the styrofoam. And that is just screams old school. And you can take it off too to get a better look at all the contents inside. Let me just get this out of the way. And then you got everything all neatly packed. Okay, that's enough of me rambling about the packaging, so let's open this up and let's see how awesome it truly is. And here we got the three components out of the packaging. We got Gunper, Atlas, and Beralios. Now, a lot of people out there may know the story of this robot and how it almost became Voltron, but for those who don't know the story, World Events Productions saw footage of Daltanious at some sci-fi convention, and they said to Toei, "Send us the one with the lion!" And instead of getting Daltanious, they got Go Lion, which would later become Voltron, and that was a huge success. But I will be honest, I always prefer Daltanious and these three robots here over the lions and Go Lion. But regardless, this is extremely cool. But the sad thing is, not that many people know about the actual show that this mecha came from. And I couldn't find any information on it anywhere until I think it was sometime last year that Daltanious got a complete Blu-ray release, and I was watching some episodes while waiting for this thing to arrive. And I'm not gonna lie, it's unironically really entertaining. And I just wish more people were aware of the actual anime, but that's not the whole point of this video. Let's start off by taking a look at Atlas. Here we have Atlas, and he's a really cool looking robot. He's got some reds, black, silver, and even some gold on the side of his leg there. And overall, he just looks really, really great. Now, this guy looks like he could be his own figure, and apparently, back in the 70s, late 70s, this guy, along with the other components, were actually sold separately at one point in Japan. But he just has a really cool aesthetic, and he's just really menacing. And I don't know, he's simple yet effective. That's what I like about this guy. Now, this robot is piloted by Kento, the main protagonist of the anime, and rather than just hopping inside him, he actually has this little jet that's attached to the head. Let's see if I can get this off. Oh, the head came off. It's a little tricky to take off, but it can be taken off. There we go. I'm just gonna leave him here. Here is the piece that came off, and it actually has several hinge joints, and to make it more proper, you have to just fiddle around with it. And there you go. It's a very simple design, and it's very reminiscent to the Piloter from Mazinger Z. And basically, Kento goes into this, it goes on a bunch of rails, and then this guy kind of goes up, and then they kind of dock in the sequence. It's really interesting. It's very Voltron-y when you watch it. And to get back in there, you just rearrange the wings and everything, and you just stick them back on here like so. And there you go. Now, as for diecast parts, he's got quite a few. He has a lot of internal diecast. This main body section's diecast, and I think these pieces here are diecast, but nothing at the legs or anything. And he's very hefty, and I just love him. And he also has quite a few gimmicks. These gold pieces here are removable, and these actually become blades. Now, these don't actually transform itself, but to get the full effect in the show, these come off and they transform into blades. And this does come with golden blades to handle. You got this one here and this one here. And to get them on, you just open up the hand and you just stick it in there like so. Easier said than done, but just be careful and you should be fine. So you can do that. And you can also put it on the other hand as well. Just get it in the fingers. You close it up. And now he's ready to hack and slash. But wait, there's even more to that. You get this little piece, and what you do with it is take off the blades and they stick onto here. So to just get that already, let's just take this off. I think it just slides off. Yeah, it slides off. Do the same here. And we just stick it onto the right place. This goes into here. And this goes into here. And now we got ourselves a Boomerang Weapon. To get Atlas to hold the weapon, you just keep the hand open like this, like you're doing it with those blades. And you just stick it into his hand like this. Actually, no, wait. I think I put it on the wrong way. Does it go in like this, maybe? I think it's supposed to line up with the fingers there. And hold on. I don't want to damage this at all, but... And that looks pretty cool. Or I guess you could have him hold it either way, but I think the official way is to do it like this. I guess it doesn't really make too much of a difference, but now he can chuck it at you like so. But the back of the legs here, there are actually panels that you have to remove in order to activate the transformation sequence. Now, personally, I prefer to keep those pieces off because I like to just mess around and transform this guy more than anything. But that's what you can do. But however, with those taken off, you have a lot of ugly screw holes on the back. Yikes. Now, there is one final gimmick with weapons, and on these arms here, you actually do get these silver things sticking out on. It applies to this arm too. What you can do is that you can take them off. A little tricky to do, and it kind of scares me, but if you just take them off one at a time. Come on. And this one here. Now you can see it's all completely bare. What you can do now is swap them out with similar silver pieces, but with these blades. This can be done on the other arm as well, but it's just such a rigorous process that I'm going to not do that. But what you can do here is put them all onto this arm. It's a little tricky to do sometimes. I'm gonna do that. And now it looks like he has those gauntlets from Fire Emblem. I don't know, it just gives me Fire Emblem vibes, especially Three Houses with those brawling gauntlets, but perhaps this was the inspiration. And like I said, you can do this with the other arm with an extra set of blades, but I'm not going to do it because it's very time consuming. And a non-weapon gimmick that you can do, I mean technically it is a weapon but it's not an accessory, but you could do this. If you look carefully, there's a bunch of little sculpted in holes, and that's because in the show, Atlas can fire spikes out of the bottom of the elbow, and he can do the same thing with the other arm, so that's a really cool little detail. Now, I do have a minor QC issue with this particular robot here. Now, to transform him, minor spoilers, you're supposed to collapse these arms in, right? And it locks in pretty well. Hold on, there, more like that. As for this arm, when I do it, it doesn't take as much effort and it seems to be a little bit more of a looser fit. Now, if I shake it, it stays in place, but it comes out much easier, and I think that's a little frustrating considering the price I had to pay for this guy, but it's not like it came broken or anything. But as for articulation, he's got a ball joint at the head. The arms kind of seem to be on a ratchet and go out full 360. They can go out that far, and that's a really loud ratchet. You got a bend at the elbow. The wrist can swivel. The hand opens up. You got nothing at the waist or anything because of the way this guy's engineered. And the legs can have a little bit of movement. It kind of leaves you wanting more, to be honest, but anything farther would probably break the figure. He's got a swivel at the thigh, and he can't really spread that very far, but he has double bend at the knee on really tight joints. And he's also got some ankle movement, which are on ball joints, to allow for a little bit of a pivot, and the feet can go down. Next up, here we have Beralios, and this is by far my favorite of the set because it reminds you a lot of Voltron/Gold Lion, and this is the first time we've ever seen an animal component in a mecha. And there were many mecha that came afterwards that took inspiration from Daltanious with the lion or animal head in the chest. And it's just very awesome. And the aesthetic is very reminiscent to Voltron and Gold Lion, especially with these circles here on the legs. Actually, wait, I think these are on the wrong way. I think they go on like this. Yes, they do. I am so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This is a step that I often forget to do when transforming this guy into the chest mode, but you're supposed to take these off and they go here, but sometimes I forget to do that while transforming it, so well, I'm pretty sure I will remember to do that when I transform this guy in the review. But this is also the first one to, actually the only one that actually looks really different compared to the original version, because the colors are all different and has much brighter colors, and there's a lot of gold chrome on the legs, and I actually like this way more than the original Soul of Chogokin release of this figure. Now, for accessories, you get this thing that looks like a robot chicken hair dryer thing. I don't know what you're supposed to call it, but you can stick it onto the hole up here. Just gotta be a little careful. And that looks really goofy, but apparently on the original toy, this head can fold down, and a chrome version of this would flip out and have a spring-loaded missile. And now, the other accessory you get is a more animation-accurate head. And what you do is you can actually take this off, and it's a little tricky to take off, but it's achievable. It also comes off a lot when you're trying to transform it. And this is the first time I've ever actually done this, so please bear with me. I might do this off camera. And here's Beralios with the alternate head, and this actually looks really cool. Now, this sculpting was how the original Soul of Chogokin Daltanious looked, but Beralios had much darker colors and looked, I guess, like a more realistic lion. But this is pretty much how he looks in the anime, and I think this looks really cool. And it can open the mouth, and the original can, I mean, not the original, but this head can also open mouth. And this is pretty much a tribute to the original toy, while this is, like I said, animation accurate. But I think I'm going to keep this one on because it just looks more interesting. And one thing that's interesting about this lion is that in the show, it's not piloted by anybody, and is its own sentient mecha. Whereas Gunper and Atlas are piloted by someone. And since I mentioned Voltron and Gold Lion earlier, here's a quick comparison with the yellow line from my Lion Bot set. And while they have different looking heads, you can totally see the inspiration. And I just think that is so awesome. Except the main difference is that he has a mane and this was presumably female because it doesn't have a mane. But these guys are both awesome nonetheless. Now as for diecast parts, all the paws without the chrome are all diecast metal. I think some of the main body around here is also diecast metal, but I've been touching this figure quite a lot, so the diecast isn't as cold, so it's hard to detect. And I'm surprised that the mane wasn't diecast, but I guess that would have made the figure a little more expensive. But the articulation on this figure is pretty decent. The legs can move on the front. They can, let's see, they can bend that far. The paws are on hinges and they can go up and down and are on ball joints. Same thing applies to this leg here. And they can rotate. You can have them go back, roll forward, and the feet can move around and the paws are on ball joints. The nice chrome tail is on a hinge joint and also on a hinge joint here. And the head is not really posable, but you can open the mouth. And last but not least, here we have Gunper. Now, for a lot of people, Gunper is their least favorite component, but I think he's pretty unique in his own ways as well. But he's very, very heavy, and he's mostly made of die-cast. I think, actually, is he mostly made of die-cast? No, I think it's just these yellow parts that are die-cast. But he's very heavy, and I think there's also a little bit of internal die-cast as well. Now, he's got some quite interesting little details and features. Like over here, here's a clear cockpit for 2 people, which is strange because in the show there's only one person who pilots this thing. I think his name is Danji. He reminds me a little bit of Guy from Jetman, but that's kind of interesting how it has the 2 cockpits. He even got some nice little detail that's molded in. And some of the main gimmicks that you can do on this guy on his own is that you can take this out. I mean, it's a little risky to do because I do not want to risk breaking anything, but okay, it's best to pull on the fin that way. And it comes out, you got this little die-cast little arm here, and the rest here is plastic. And you do the same thing here. Then you come out, and then you can have them rotate. And then underneath, these little arm parts are these little claws that come out. And you can take them out like this. Just here. This comes out. Rinse and repeat on the other one. And now he's got some little robot arms that can possibly grab something. I think there was an episode early on in the show where one of these arms grabbed Atlas to take him out of an emergency. So that's kind of cool. And I can just fold everything in and put it back inside. That was pretty neat. And the final feature, actually he has 2 more features, actually take that back, is that over here, these little things can come out. There we go. And you got these things sticking out. You then get these chrome triangular blades. Slide them in, but do be very careful because the tips of these triangular blades are very sharp. I'm probably never going to do this again because it's just really tricky to get them in. You have to slide them in at the right side, at the right angle. But okay, I'm not going to do it any further, but you kind of get the idea. And now you can cut and slice and dice with these blades. And quick detail I forgot to mention earlier. On the back you got what looks like the Black Widow insignias, and you got some nice detailed thrusters. Now the final gimmick on this guy alone is that underneath you have these things down here. You just take them off. Oh, the wing got folded in. Take that off. just stick them onto these little holes here. But this guy uses a lot of force, but be careful when you do. And now you got these little handle things. What we can do now is if we take Atlas, kind of look up, spread out his arms, rotate them, and have his arms open. I mean, should say, have his hands opened up, like so. And now you just plug this in here. And this is actually really difficult to take off, so do be careful when handling this guy. And then we just put in the hands to get him to hold on to the handles. Alright. And now Atlas can now use Gunper like a glider and just fly around. Overall, each of these guys are really cool, but when you combine these guys in Daltanious, there are several upgraded parts that you need, which does come with the set to attach, but there's no place to store them and the instructions. However, there was a YouTuber out there named Watafa, who is a Japanese toy collector and reviewer, and he actually posted a video on how you can do a near perfect transformation with this guy, and he actually found some clever ways to store those accessories, which you will be seeing very soon. But there was a few accessories, actually no, 2 accessories, these shoulder pieces that are supposed to kind of split in half, but I was unable to do it on mine. It's like in there really tight and I do not want to break it, but in his video he split these in half and stored them into Gunper. Alright, it's time to transform these guys. And here we finally have Daltanious all put together, and this is extremely awesome. I'd even say it's my favorite mecha design of all time. But you know what isn't awesome? That process of transforming this thing. I mean, transforming this guy off camera is a little tricky because of the tight joints and certain pieces may come off, but doing it on camera and trying to do it at a fast-paced setting is really frustrating. But aside from that, this is a really nice piece. He's really heavy. He's heavy duty. I mean, I wouldn't go rough with a Soul Chogokin figure ever, but he's got such an awesome design. I mean, he's got a badass head, even though it's basically Atlas's head with a few horns flipped out. And he's got the lion chest, got these crosses here, almost looks like, or maybe it's like a, I don't know, like a emergency first aid kind of logo, no, like a red cross. No, I'm still overthinking it. And something that's a little weird about this guy is down here, because he doesn't have clear ankles, like there's like a gap in between his feet. It just looks really weird, but if you just put him on a shelf or on a display, it's not all that noticeable. But I don't know, this guy's really cool. Now, the head that I put away before can actually be used for this. You could keep it on, but I don't do that. But just to quickly show you, you just, got the camera focus here, just pull this down and get out the head. Come on, I don't want to scratch this. Come on, don't scratch. Come on. There you go. We just take off the head, and we just put the regular Atlas head on, and you flip out the horns, complete the look. If you're using this head, I mean, it looks okay, I suppose, but the head is just way too tiny for such a gargantuan fella. But I'm gonna take off this head and put it back into the lion's back head, because that's how I always do it. Ever since I watched Wotafa's video on how to make essentially a perfect transformation, I've been doing this. Oops, I forgot to close these horns. Give me a second there. Yeah, I've been doing it this way ever since I saw that video, so it's been very helpful. But putting the heads and pieces into certain parts is a little bit tricky, but I think it's very rewarding and it really fixes some of the problems I had with this set initially. Next up, we got this crazy stand full of all the accessories, and I think you're able to store pretty much everything, but I don't have those blades in there that you put on Atlas. And there's one other accessory that I don't think really fits in there. But I'm just gonna see if I don't know if I can do it. Okay, I can do 360, never mind. But here's just everything that is included with the figure, and there'll be more stuff I'll be showing a little later. So let's get right into them. These alternate rings with blades attached to them. So what you do to get them on, you just take Daltanious, you just take off the big robot hands, take off this ring, and then you just swap it with this bladed ring, and you just stick it back in there like so. It's always a little tricky because you have to have this small hand arranged a certain way for it to reattach. There we go. And now he's got some crazy blades so he can go bananas at some unsuspecting monster. Now, as of now, the figure has these default fist hands, but they can be swapped out with other hands on ball joints. So along with these, we have open hands, and you got these hands which are designed for holding certain weapons. And let's get to them right now. You got this nice short chrome sword, which he can hold in his hand like so. Can be held like so, and you also get a shield, which comes with this little piece. You plug it in, and you stick it into the hand. And that looks pretty rad. Oh, and a quick trivia. These circles on the sides are what become that sword and shield. And for those wondering how that animation accurate head looks on Daltanious, well, there you go. Which one do you prefer? This one or the head that was on before? Let me know in the comments down below. On to the next weapon. Here we have this crossbow looking weapon. Looks pretty nice. It requires the use of these somewhat more open hands for weapons. I already have the other hand attached with this new hand. A little tricky to put on the hand sometimes, just be warned, but I had this little handle here. Just position it the way you want it to. This goes in like that, and he can put his hand through there. And now he's got a crossbow, but he can't fire anything at the moment. So you get this chrome arrow. You take off this back piece, and you just slide the arrow in through here. I think that's supposed to plug in. No, I think it just rests there. And now he actually cannot shoot this arrow. It's only for display purposes. However, he can cock this thing back and forth. And it's a little bit like the Galaxy Megazord's aka Gingayo's crossbow weapon. And I think it's well executed, but I would have preferred this could fire, but actually I think that would be a horrible idea considering how expensive this toy is. Next up, we got what might be the strangest accessory in the entire set. It's like this paper cross thing on a stand, and you just put it right in the front of the figure. Not really that interesting, but it was something that did appear in the show, so I guess they had to include it. And I say best for last, the final weapon and accessory from this entire set is not the blazing sword, but the flaming sword, and this is just beautiful. Now the idea is to have him hold it with both hands, and it can be achieved with these hands that I have attached currently. Looks like he's gonna chop you up with this flaming crazy weapon, and that looks awesome. Now for the figure's articulation, the head is on a ball joint. The arms can rotate 360. They can go out that far. I don't know if I covered this in Atlas articulation segment, but in case I missed it, I am sorry. You got a bicep swivel. You got a bend, but can't really go that far because of these pieces here, but you could take them off if you so desire. He has nothing at the waist. He does have these skirts that can open outward and allows you to spread the legs that far. Not very, actually no, wait. Oh, I don't want to do it too much or pretty far, but I'm not gonna do it any farther than this. You got a swivel at the thigh, bend at the knee. The leg can go back that far and can go out that far. And you got some ankle pivot, as well as some foot articulation. And now for some size comparisons. Here he is next to the high-grade Gundam Revive, the Black Series Darth Nihilus, Zenkaio Jura Galon, Galaxy Megazord, my Linebot KO, Dino Robo, and last but not least, the Soul Chogokin Dairugger 15, aka Vehicle Voltron. Now, I deemed this figure to be my favorite figure of all time, but I don't know. I think my new favorite figure might be Daltanious. I do have problems with Daltanious, but I just think the design is way more interesting. I mean, I love this design too, don't get me wrong, but I think this might be my favorite design ever. And I just love the innovative transformation, except we do it on camera. But I don't know, I think these two might be my two favorite figures now. Overall, I really love this figure. If you have the money, I highly recommend picking this guy up. I mean, as I've said before, there are some problems with like not being able to store everything in the components with those upgrade parts and everything, and there are some joints that are extremely tight and the lion head falling off frequently, but aside from those minor things, I can't get over how awesome this guy is because of the aesthetics. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the flip side.